Hi, I'm Maria Langworthy, and I'm delighted to have an opportunity to tell you a little bit about the Innovative Teaching and Learning Research Project. ITL Research was originally designed to address the education ecosystem and how that system can shift to better prepare individuals with skills for life and work today in the 21st century's globalized, knowledge-driven, technology-rich world. The ITL Research Project was designed to address this ecosystem challenge through looking at innovative teaching practices and how innovative teaching practices could support the development of individuals with these new skills. And it looks at that question by asking key questions: whether or not innovative teaching practices do develop these skills, and then how school and system level factors can support teachers' adoption of more innovative teaching practices. We looked at this through examining in depth some 21st century skills, commonly known as things like knowledge construction, global awareness, the use of technology for learning. And the way we designed the system was to measure these in ways that are quite similar to how the performance of these skills is actually measured in knowledge-based organizations. The ITL project ultimately had 8 countries participating in the project, with local sponsors such as ministries of education and local research partners, often universities and think tanks in the local countries. It's sponsored globally by Microsoft Partners in Learning, and the methods from this program have now been adopted by schools in over 45 countries. The methods that we designed for ITL research are one of the most valuable pieces of the project. We developed surveys for examining innovative teaching practices, classroom observation protocols, and some interesting rubrics for analyzing learning activities or lessons, and for analyzing student work that is produced as a result of those lessons on 21st century skill dimensions. So what did we find through the ITL research? Very quickly, we used the rubrics that we developed to analyze learning activities to see how much existing learning activities or lessons were designing in opportunities for students to develop 21st century skills. What you see here is on a 1 to 4 scale of the rubrics, what were the average scores across the countries and the learning activities that we examined. You see here that the average score, the highest one, was a 2. Meaning that there were very low opportunities in the lessons that we collected and analyzed for students to develop these types of skills. And that's critical because what you see here is that there's a direct correlation between how those learning activities are designed and the student work that's produced as a result. What our research here shows is that when learning activities are designed in a way to develop students' 21st century skills, students' work can and does demonstrate those skills. However, as we saw on the last page, most of the lessons we examined don't offer students these opportunities. And when we talked to teachers, it became very clear that they recognized the need to develop these skills, but they didn't have a clear understanding of how they should implement skills like collaboration, knowledge construction, and real-world problem solving and innovation in their existing lessons. That's where we turn to 21st century learning design. The teachers and schools that participated in ITL research had very consistently come back to us and said that participating in the research gave them a much clearer picture of how to redesign learning activities in a way that developed these skills. So out of that, we've translated the research methods, and specifically for this, the rubrics that help us analyze learning activities, into a professional development program that really bridges the gap between the theory and practice of 21st century skills and uses the rubric as a as a framework for teacher collaboration, focused on redesigning learning and measuring the change in teaching and learning practices. The rubrics that we've developed are ask some key questions, and this slide represents the core 6 that we've developed over the 3 years of the ITL research project, refining these rubrics each year and testing them in an international context. The way the process as professional development works is that teachers come together to examine learning activities, whether they're example learning activities or their own learning activities, to discuss and debate the ways in which that learning activity achieves higher level codes on the rubrics by asking simple questions but with a lot of thought and rigor behind what these things mean. What we see is that by doing this process in a very rich and rigorous way, we can change teaching practices to redesign them and redevelop learning in a way that develops the skills that students will need for the 21st century.